Okay, let me do a quick recap of what we talked about so far. So for 156, we talked about different image formats, different raster image formats. So there's JPEG, GIF, PNG, and TIFF. And the main difference is JPEGs don't have alpha channels or transparency channels, but you do get 24 bits of color. So you get millions of color. And it's 24 bits, but that's, let's see, 8 bits per color. So 8 bits of red, 8 bits of green, and 8 bits of blue. GIF, you only get total of 8 bits. So you only get 256 colors. PNGs, you get the 24 bits plus transparency channel. And then a TIFF, you get 16 bits per channel, which is a lot more. So you could have let's see, JPEGs and PNGs, you get about 16.5 million colors. With TIFFs, you get even more, plus you have alpha channels. And let me quickly explain why 8 bits equals 256 colors and why 24 bits equals 16 plus million. See, best way to explain it would be, let me open Illustrator, I guess. I don't know. So what is a bit? A bit is a 0 or a 1, right? That's what computers understand. Everything is written in zeros and ones. So every letter, every color, every symbol you have, it's represented by zeros and ones. And for looking at colors, let me open this real quick. Okay, so if you only had two bits, that means you only have 2 zeros or ones. So you could either have 0, 0 or 1, 0. I guess you could also have 0, 1. But think of it like this. With 2 bits, with a 1 and a 0, you could either have on or off, or if you're representing colors with that, you only have black and white. With 3 bits, you can have 0, 0, 0 representing one color. You could have 0, 0, 1 representing another color. You could have 0, 1, 0 representing another color, and 1, 0, 0 representing another color. So with 3 bits, you can also have 1 or 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And what other combinations can we have here? 1, 1, 0. And I guess 1, 0, 0. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So with 3 bits, you can have 8 colors. And then if you add even more bits, if you add 4, for example, then you can have even more combinations. But basically, PNGs have 8 bits, so you have 8 numbers. Is that 8? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So with 8 bits, you have, if you were going to look at all the different combinations of zeros and ones you can have, you would have, if you calculated this, I think it's with 8 bits, you get 2 to the power of 8 colors. And if we take out the calculator 2 to the power of 8 would be 2, let's see, not 2 squared. How do you do powers on these calculators? 2 to the power of 8, is that how you do it? No. Anyways, it should be 256. There we go, 2 to the power of 8. Yeah, 256 colors with 2 to the power of 8. And if you have JPEGs and PNGs, don't just use a total of 8 bits. They use 8 bits per color. So 8 bits of red, 8 bits of blue, and 8 bits of green, RGB. So those are the 3 colors they use to mix and get all the other colors. So that gives you 2 to the power of 24. Yep, and that's how you get that 16 million colors. Okay, in case you were wondering how that works. So 3 times 8, you get 24, so that's why that's 24 bits. And then TIFF has 16 bits per color, so that's even more colors. But we saw that JPEGs, GIFs, and PNGs you can use for web pages, but TIFFs don't seem to work, so we can't really use that for images that you upload online. That's why if you search for an image on Google, let's say cool picture images, if we go to tools, type, or is it under settings? I don't know if you can filter it, but anyways, any picture you find here, it's either going to be a GIF, a PNG, or a JPEG. Okay. So again, the assignment for this class, I still haven't gone over it, but I did upload the instructions. Basically, if you have Photoshop, you can follow along, and we're going to be creating an animation of a coin spinning. And then for those that don't have Photoshop, I'll show you how to do that with CSS. Okay, so that's what we talked about for 156 so far. 157, talking about web planning, and I've only had about 20 minutes to talk about that, so we didn't really talk much about this yet, so we'll get into that right now. But you're gonna be building a website, and you're gonna be planning it first. So we're gonna think about what the website is about, who it's for, and then after that you'll create some wireframes. Wireframes are just a skeleton of what the website's gonna look like. So just boxes showing where the heading is gonna be, where the images will be, where the text will be. And after that, you'll do a more finished mock-up. So instead of just boxes, you'll have actual pictures and content. And then finally, you'll build the website. Okay, and we can start by looking at examples of websites and what type of website you might want to build. So what are the different types of websites? You have blogs, where you're just talking about random stuff. Maybe a specific blog about specific subject. Um, or you might have a website for selling something, so an e-commerce site. You might have a product you're selling, or you might have a restaurant, and on the website, maybe you have just the menu advertised, or your specials, or you might even have um, a way to order online. So e-commerce and restaurant website where you can order stuff, that wouldn't be a static website anymore. So that's something that's dynamic. Even a blog, I guess you could call it dynamic, because you're going to be having multiple blogs uploaded, and you can have people comment on them. So in a way, that's dynamic. Um, Only example of a static website I can think of is maybe a website where you just have instructions on how to do something, or maybe it's a website for your resume, or just examples of your work where nobody really needs to sign in or add their own content or interact with the website. So that would be a static website where it's just you upload it and that's it. And you could make changes to it, but um, they're not going to be dynamic changes by actually logging into the website. You'd be making the changes in the background. So um, I guess updating the HTML or the CSS yourself, or taking down the website, changing it, and uploading it again. That would be a static website. We can look at some examples. Static website examples. Okay, maybe this is a static site. So cartilages quality meats. So this is a static site because it's just got some information. This is a very simple looking, very old school looking website. So you can look at their products. Looks like it's just an image. Um, so this is a very, I don't know, it's not a good example of a website. So don't design your website like this. Why is this bad? Because instead of having actual text that you can highlight, or if, I don't know, maybe you're using a screen reader, or maybe someone with a disability that can't see the picture, they wouldn't be able to read any of this text. So for that reason, it's not a good idea to put a picture like this to show your information. So better idea would be to actually have a separate element for your image and then a separate element for the text. But yeah, this is an example of a static website, but a very old example. Let's see if there's any better ones. And I get these are build tools, so they're just website builders that help you build a static website. Um, okay, well, you can see here basic breakdown of what makes something static and what makes it dynamic. So a static website, again, you have your HTML for your content, you have your CSS to design it. You might have JavaScript to add a little bit of, I don't know, animation, or just to make it a little bit more interesting, but it's still going to be static. A dynamic website would be using something like PHP um, to get information from a database like MySQL, and you're able to store and retrieve information from a database and update the database, and that's what makes it dynamic. It could keep growing. You can keep adding more information to it. So that's why a blog, for example, you could call it dynamic, because as you add more blog posts, they get saved in a database, so your website continues to grow. That's what makes it dynamic. So static web pages are made of fixed code, and unless the site developer makes changes, nothing will change on the page. Think of it like a brochure for business. Static sites give a lot of same information that you could get from a brochure, but it couldn't change itself. In order to do this, someone has to create a new page. That's why static websites are referred to as brochure sites sometimes. So nothing is stored but the actual pages of a static site. There are no users, no comments, no blog posts, no interactivity. So as a beginner to web design, web development, you might build some static websites at first. And we could create a static web page for our first assignment, which is to come up with what was the first assignment? To come up with what your website is going to be for. So at this point, you guys can start thinking about a website that you think would be interesting to make. Now, maybe you don't have a purpose for building a site, but you just have to come up with something. Maybe you do have a useful purpose for it. Maybe you're selling something, you have an online business, or maybe you want to create a portfolio for yourself to show people. Say you're applying for a job and you want to show them your work. Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe you want to build a blog. You like writing. You like sharing places you've been or restaurants you've been to. You want to blog about it. That's another idea. And then also think about who your target audience is, because depending on who your target is, you're going to design the site differently. If you're going to be targeting younger people, like very young people, maybe you have more colorful, bigger text. If you're designing something to look professional, maybe you won't be so creative, or I mean, you could still be creative, but just won't be as fun looking, more professional looking. So more serious fonts. You won't be using um, like cursive fonts or whatever that you might use for a more fun looking website. Um, Also, what's the goal of the site? If you're building an e-commerce site, are you trying to get more traffic to your website? Do you want more people to buy your product? It's just a form of advertising if you can get a lot of traffic to your site. And then what tools are you going to use? Like I said, there's a lot of different website builders. It's hard to choose which one you want to use. There's, again, WordPress is um, the most widely used right now on the internet, because I don't know, I guess it's the first very popular content management system for blogging, but it's evolved into doing a lot more than just blogging. This is an example of WordPress.com, but um, WordPress.com is just a self-hosted version of WordPress. You can also have your own website host, maybe through GoDaddy or DreamHost or something. And if you have a different host, and a host is just a company that has servers that has your website files on their servers. Server is just a computer. So it's just a place where you store your site so that people can access it 24/7. Because um, everything on the internet is stored somewhere. It's not just floating around the internet. It's not like a cloud that you upload and it's just there forever. it's stored on some machine. So that machine has to be on, and it has to be connected to the internet for people to be able to access your site. Um, so WordPress.com is the host for your WordPress site, but you can also use, like I said, DreamHost. And typically the price for hosting might come out to $10 a month. Usually about $100 to $300 a year, maybe cheaper, depending on what features you need, how much space you want to store um, images and content on your site, and also things like security services and um, SSL certificates, and domain privacy. All that stuff might cost you a little extra. But you can look at different companies, see which one offers the best deals. So let's look at DreamHost for a second. If we look at hosting, here's their plans: $3.95 a month for their cheapest plan. Um, Goes up to $16.95, I guess. There's one option for $13.75 a month. I don't know why this one's more expensive than this one. Let's see, unlimited website, one WordPress website. I don't know. You gotta look at the fine print, I guess. It says one website, but does that mean you're not allowed to install WordPress on this one? There's a lot of different hosting companies. HostGator is another one. Here's their plan starting at $2.75 a month. But you gotta be careful of these 60% off things, because usually it's only the first year they offer that it's gonna be at $2.75 a month, and then they probably start charging you more after that. Yeah, it says here plan renews at $6.95 a month. So it's only the first period that's gonna be that discounted price. And then there's website builders like Wix. You can use these. They sort of help you put the website together. And most of them do have e-commerce tools, but there's sites specifically for e-commerce. So if you're selling something, there's Shopify. Another one, Big Commerce. You can even Google e-commerce website builders and see what they have. Wix, CN7, I never heard of that one. Salesforce, Shippo External, Drupal Commerce. That's funny, it doesn't show most of the ones that I know about. It's this one, Wix, Square Online, GoDaddy, WooCommerce, Squarespace, BigCommerce. So you might have to do some research on which one you want to use. Go back here, okay. But one that I've just discovered, well, I mean, I've known about it for a while, but I've been ignoring it, but once I actually looked at it, it seems very, I don't know, it seems like a very good tool for building websites. I think I like it more than what I've seen with WordPress and Wix so far. That's what was it called? Webflow. So Webflow lets you build a site with very easy drag and drop tools, just like some of the other ones. But it also has like a database feature where you can have information stored on a database and use that database information to populate your site. So you could create a dynamic website with this. I still haven't learned all the ins and outs of Webflow. I think I only spent like 30 minutes looking at it, but so far I like it. Okay, so again, think about what site you're gonna build, and I don't know. I guess um, if you can't think of anything, just do an e-commerce site. Let's say we're, I don't know. Let's find a random product to sell. It'll be easier if you find an existing product and try to come up with your own. But let's look at latest gadgets. And I don't know, pick something here that we're gonna make a website for. Bluetooth banana phone. Loonlight. What is that? So let's just pick something from here. Let's go with the long distance friendship lamp. What is this? Let's watch a video, see how it works, so we can get an idea of what the website's gonna be like. So what is it? You touch it and then the other one changes colors. I guess that's interesting, but all right, let's say we're selling that. So long distance friendship lamp. Now, let's say we're selling that. So we're gonna have to do the first step, which is, and what's the goal of the website? Who's the target audience? Is it static? What tools might you use to build a site? So let's answer these questions in a HTML document. If you forgot how to use HTML or you never learned in the first place, don't worry, it's going to be very simple. Okay, all you're going to do is create a new folder, and let's call this our assignment 1. Inside that, and we probably don't need a whole folder for this because it's going to be very simple, just a list of questions that we're going to answer. But it's just good practice. Anytime you create a website, you should keep that website in a root folder. So there should be a folder that contains everything that you need for that site. Now this is going to be a simple web page. It's not going to be a website, just a single page. So we'll call the homepage index.html. That's just normally what you name your homepage of your website, index.html. So again, all I did is create a new text document, and I just changed it from .text to index.html. So as soon as you add that .html extension, it's going to become a web page. Okay. And I would recommend Visual Studio Code for adding stuff to the site. Just like this example I did before the break, where I just added these images to test if it works or not. See, where did I put that? Here it is. So this one is just the index.html file, and I put a bunch of pictures in it. So I used a bunch of image tags and put different images inside each image tag. And without any CSS or anything to change the size of the images, they just come in full size. So that's why they're all huge like this. Okay. Let me delete that though. We don't need that anymore. Gotta close this and then delete it. Right. So again, this WST 157. So if you guys want to do the first assignment with me, try to follow along. Just create a new folder, call it assignment 1. Inside that, create a new text document and change the name to index.html. By the way, if you don't see the extensions, if it just says index for you, or if you look at any other file, if it's not showing the extensions, like here you could, actually it doesn't look like it's showing extensions here either. Well, these are shortcuts, but if I go somewhere else like here, you can see the extensions. There's .dat, .log. I am seeing extensions, but if in case you're not, you need to go to your folder options. So in your start menu, if you're using Windows, go to the File Explorer options, click on View, and then where it says Hide Extensions for Known File Types, make sure it's not checked. So it should be clear. If I do check that, then if you see here, it's just index. It doesn't show me the actual extension. If I right click properties, there I might see the type of file. It says .html. But in order to change the extension, you got to make sure to go to File Explorer options, go to View, and uncheck Hide Extensions for Known File Types. That way you'll see the extension and you'll be able to change it. Okay. So like I said, I recommend getting Visual Studio Code. It's free. With Visual Studio Code, I can open that folder. I can say File, Open Folder, and select Assignment 1. That way it shows whatever files I have inside that folder. It shows me right here. And I can click on it, and I can easily add a basic HTML structure for this. If I just type HTML and click on that, oops, HTML, click on HTML5, it gives me the structure for an HTML file. It gives you this doc type, opening and closing HTML tags. You can also type exclamation point and press tab. But I provided this for you in the instructions, so in case you're just using you could just use Notepad for this too. You could say open with and then choose Notepad. You could do all your typing in here. But like I said, there's the structure for an HTML file. It's right there in the instructions. You can just copy that. Control C and paste that in there. Oh, but it comes in all unorganized, so you'd have to restructure it. So just press enter after each tag. It's a little bit harder to work with in Notepad. That's why I say download VS Code or something else that helps you type code like this. So here it looks like that, and basically you're just gonna have to put stuff between the opening and closing body tag. So between the opening and closing body tag, that's where you'll add maybe an H1. An H1 is just a tag for a heading 1. The heading 1 is the most important heading, so the biggest heading you're gonna have. So here you could say assignment 1, planning website. And I told you what to write there. So there you could just copy paste that right there. Assignment 1, planning a website. A website. Okay. And then to get a list like this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can use an unordered or an ordered list tag. So an ordered list is just a opening OL tag and a closing OL tag, just like that. And each list item, so each of the numbers, is going to be a list item like this, LI. So for the first one, let's say you want to answer with the first question, what's the goal of the website? So the goal of this website is to sell a product. The product is a long distance friendship lamp. Okay. So you're probably gonna want people to visit the website. So goal of the website is sell a product. The product is a long distance friendship lamp. The site will advertise the product and sell it. Okay. Let's do view, and I'll say toggle word wrap so it doesn't go off to the side like that. And then the next list item could answer the next question. So I'm gonna be doing this, but think about your own product, or it doesn't have to be a product. Like I said, you could make this website for whatever you want. It could be a blog, so you could write that as your goal of the site. Next question, who's the target audience? The target audience is, well, I guess it could be any age. Anyone interested in cool gadgets and having a long distance connection with friends or family. Is it a
David,
yeah?
are you sharing your screen? Because we
Oh,
don't. I don't think we're seeing anything right now.
how come nobody's saying anything? Oh, you guys are saying something.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Go live. Okay. I hope you guys. Oh, what did you miss? You missed a lot. Almost an hour. Okay. Um. Earlier, what was I talking about? Oh, the zeros and one thing. I'll go over that again, cause okay, I was talking about images. 8-bit image like a PNG. Why is it only 256 colors? Because think about it. If you only have 2 bits, meaning 0 and a 1, you only get whatever combinations you can make with that. That's how many colors you can have. So you can either have 0, 0, 0, 1, oops, or 1, 0, or 1, 1. That pretty much gives you 4 colors. That's 2 bits. So that's the same as 2 to the power of 2, right? So that's why you get 4. 2 squared is 4. So you get 4 different color combinations. Or yeah, so 4 different combinations of zeros and ones that can represent 4 different colors. Okay. Now if you have 8 bits, well, let's do 3 bits first. If you have 3 bits, you can have 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, and 1, 1, 0, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What other, what am I missing? 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. There. So that's 8 different combinations, right? So that's 2 to the power of 3. So whatever number of bits you have, it's 2 to the power of that number of combinations of colors you can have. So with 3 bits, you get 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 8 colors. 2 to the power of 3. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 is 8. So that's how you get that. So if a PNG is 8 bits, and obviously I'm not going to list all the different combinations you can get with that, because there's 256, but you get 4 and 4, so you could think about like all the different combinations you're going to have for that one. Anyways, if you checked all the different combinations, eventually you'll have 2 to the power of 8 colors, and 2 to the power of 8 is 256. So that's why an 8-bit color gives you 256 colors, and PNGs are 8 bits. Or sorry, not PNGs, GIFs. Yeah, so up to 8 bits per pixel, up to 256 colors. So 8 bits, 256 colors. And JPEGs are not just 8 bits. They're 24 bits, but that's 8 bits per channel. So 8 bits for red, 8 bits for green, and 8 bits for blue, because you use red, green, and blue to create all the other colors. So 8, 8, and 8 gives you 24, and that gives you 2 to the power of 24 colors, which is how you get that 16.7 million or 16.8 million colors. Okay, anyways, that was the WST 156 class. 157. So I was talking about planning and building a website. I looked at some different website builders, but guess you didn't miss too much for that. But now I'm on some website here. I just typed latest gadgets, and I just want to see what unique, cool gadgets there are. And I thought maybe this one, long distance friendship lamp. So if you're trying to think of what to create your website for and you can't think of anything, I don't know, maybe go find some random gadget, or more realistically, find find a manufacturer for something. Maybe you want to order from the manufacturer and sell it um with your own brand or something. I don't know. That would be a good idea if you want to start your own business or something. But let's say we're selling this. You want to answer these questions that I um, uploaded to the OneDrive for assignment one. You want to think about what the website is for. What are you selling, a product or offering a service, spreading knowledge or awareness of something, or is it a blog? In this case, I would be selling a product, so this would be an e-commerce site. But you don't have to do what I'm doing. You can do something else. And I gave you this basic HTML structure here, so you can start with that. So I copy pasted that into here. Control C, Control V. And if you don't have VS Code, which formats the code nicely for me, so it's like easy to figure out where to type stuff, you should download it. It's free, but you can also do it through just Notepad. So you create a new file, rename it. Instead of having the .txt extension, change it to .html, and it becomes an HTML web page. You can open that. If you double click, it's going to open with Chrome, but if you want to edit the text inside, you can say open with Notepad. And here you can paste that HTML code I gave you. But because this is Notepad, it's not VS Code. When I save it, it doesn't automatically restructure it for me. Actually, for VS Code to restructure it for you, I think you might need a plugin called Prettier. I think that's what's restructuring it for me. But those are easy to install. Anyways, you could use Notepad for this as well. Just pressing enter to get this a little more organized. Just press enter after the closing tags. Okay, so now that this makes a little more sense, that looks more like what I put here in the instructions. Between the opening and closing body tags is where you'll add your content. So start with the heading tag for the assignment number and name. So inside the body tag, you can give yourself a couple spaces in there because you're inside another element. You're inside the body element. Anytime you're inside something in HTML, you want to indent so that you know you're inside something. If you're using VS Code and you have Prettier installed, it'll do it for you. So you'd put the H1 in there. H1, doing the same thing in both, so you can see that it's really the same thing here. Just one formats it for you, the other one doesn't. And inside the H1, you'll put assignment 1, planning website. Planning a website. And I gave you some questions that I want you to answer. Just 4 questions. What's the goal? Who's the target audience? Is it static or dynamic? And what tools might you use to build a site? So for these questions, I want you to create an unordered list. Or sorry, not an unordered, but an ordered list. The difference is unordered gives you bullets. An ordered list gives you numbers. Okay, inside the ordered list, for each number, you're going to have an li. Opening li and closing li. So here, create the ol. And inside the ol, you put an li for each question you're going to answer. And to answer the first question, what's the goal of the website? Again, I'm gonna pretend I'm selling this long distance friendship lamp. So the goal of the site is to sell a product. Product is a long distance friendship lamp. So what else? You're gonna sell the site, but what else do you want the site to do? You want it to advertise for you, and you want to also drive traffic to the website. So I guess to drive traffic, you'd have to do some advertising. Anyways, we'll leave that out. We'll just say that product is a long distance friendship lamp. Next question. So you get the idea. If you're doing this with Notepad, it's gonna look a little bit more annoying to do, and I'll close that for now and just continue it through here. But goal of the site is to sell a product. Who's the target audience? The target audience is anyone who is interested in modern gadgets or keeping touch with a friend or family or long distance in a unique way. For this, I could probably just, since it's an existing product, maybe I could go to their website and see if they have a website. Created by John Harrison and Vanessa Whalen. I don't know if they have a website that they sell this. Let's Google long distance friendship lamp. So you can see here there's like a different version of it. So this is something that you could probably find a manufacturer that sells different version of it, because it is very simple to make. It's probably just a lamp with um, connected to Wi-Fi, and it just sends a signal to the other lamp over the internet when it changes color. So it's not very high-tech thing. It's pretty simple. Um, let's see what their about us says. Okay, so I don't know. It's just talking about the product, what they provide. But whatever. Target audience is that anyone interested in modern gadgets, or I don't know, keeping a long distance connection. It's pretty much what I just said, huh? Next question. Is it static website or more complicated site that offers user interaction? So if you were just advertising the product and you weren't interested in selling it through the website, it would be static. But you probably will be wanting to sell it through your site. So the site will be dynamic. It will offer um, payment methods and user logins. Usually when you're selling something, it's an e-commerce site, they usually have a login for users so that they can save their credit card information. So next time they want to purchase something, they don't have to type it in again. Also, it will allow customers to write reviews. So those things make it dynamic. If there was no interaction, it would be static. What tools might you use to build the site? To build the site, I might use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and well, that's if you were a developer, you might be interested in doing that. If you're going to build a dynamic site, if you're going to do it yourself, you'd probably use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and a database. Um, I don't know. There's that would be complicated, so probably won't be building it from scratch like that, unless you do know how to program and you know how to use something like React or Angular, or one of those JavaScript libraries. Um, so more realistically, to build site, I will be using a content management system like Wix, WordPress, or Webflow, the new one. Okay. Anyways, if I save that now, that's pretty much all you gotta do for this first assignment. But I want you to think about what you're gonna be selling. And if we check it out now, let me delete that one. That's what it looks like right now. It's just assignment one, website, planning a website, and then I've got this list answering those questions. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, if you wanna um, make this look a little bit nicer, you might, if you're interested, you can wrap this all with a div. So before the H1, or maybe before the OL, I don't know, you want to wrap this in a box. So a div is just a box, think of it like that. And then you can add some styles by saying style here. And then you can say div with, let's say, 400 pixels, and give it a background color, let's say, I don't know, bisque, and just a margin auto to center it. And then it'll look more like that, and then maybe make it 500 pixels with some padding as well. Padding of 20 pixels just to give it some space around the edges. And you have something a little more interesting than just typing it in Microsoft Word. It doesn't take too long. And I can even, I don't know, you could look at the styles there if you don't remember. But this is just a internal CSS style. I'm basically saying for this div that's surrounding all of this stuff, I want that div to have a width of 500 pixels. I want it to have this background color. Margin auto just centers it. Let's add a comment here to say centers the div. Padding 20 pixels, that's just space around the inside so the text doesn't touch the edges of the box. You could do more than that if you want, but I just want you to answer these questions. So that's what you're going to be doing for your first assignment for WST 157. And then I'll show you some tools for creating the wireframes. I forgot what I used last time, but if you type wireframing tools, you might come up with something. Figma. Figma's more for an actual mock-up. We used that last time in a different class. Um, what was it called? Wirely or something? No. I forgot the name of it, but I'll find it. It's in one of the old classes. Let's check. Not that class. No, my 157 stuff disappeared for some reason, but I'll remember next class and I'll give you some wireframing tools. But look up wireframes. What a wireframe is. You get a quick idea of what exactly I'm talking about. This is a wireframe, just some placeholder boxes, just to show the layout where everything's gonna be. And I guess you could use Figma for this, but I want you to use Figma more for the final preview of what the site's gonna look like. You could sign up for Figma. Actually, you should sign up for Figma because we will eventually use it. I've made people sign up for this before for a different class, so some of you might already have an account. But if you don't, I want you guys to sign up for Figma so we can use it for wireframing and prototyping later. Not prototyping, but yeah, I guess you could call it a prototype. But you're gonna use it to just create a mock-up of what the site looks like. It's not gonna be an actual site, but just something that shows you what the site looks like and how it might interact. Okay, back to WST 156, because you guys in 157, I think you should spend some time now to think about what you're gonna do the site for, and let me know if you have questions. But yeah, just remember you're gonna have to answer these questions in an HTML file. So just look at the instructions; it'll tell you what to do. Okay, back to 156. I told you we're gonna use Photoshop first to create this animation of the coin flipping around, and then afterwards I'll show you how to do it with CSS in case you don't have Photoshop. So I don't want to force anyone to buy Photoshop because this isn't a Photoshop class, but I will show you how to do it anyway. So I gave you the instructions on how you would do it with Photoshop. Or did I? Yeah, it should be in here. Assignment 1. You're gonna create a new file in Photoshop around 640 by 640 pixels. So if you have Photoshop, you're gonna say file, create new, and I'll just do 640 by 640 for the width and the height, and make sure it's pixels, not inches or something. 72 resolution is fine. I'm gonna say create. And then we're gonna import the two images. So the two place the images in there. So download coin.jpg from a shared folder on Google Classroom. Find your own images. Sorry, I named it heads and tails. I should update that to say heads and tails. Let me quickly update that. Alrighty now. So it should say download heads.png and tails.png. So heads and tails. I want you to download these two. So probably download them one by one, or else it's gonna come in as a zip file. So download this one first, and then this one. Do both at the same time, you're gonna get a zip file, and then you have to unzip it and stuff. So just to avoid doing all that. You could just do it one by one. Anyways, I'm gonna take these two. You can import it into Photoshop a lot of different ways. I could just drag them in here like this. And yeah, it looks like they come in as smart objects. You could do that, or you can say file, and where is it? File place embedded. That one. And then again, file place embedded. Do the other one. It looks like they come in the center and they're right where they should be, so you don't have to move them around or anything. Just one on top of the other. You could rearrange the layers if you want, but I got the two pictures here, and both images have a clear background. That's why I did that for you, so you guys don't have to try to find an image with a clear background. You can see here the background is empty. Okay. So I hope you guys have Photoshop, but if you don't, again, just watch, and then at least you'll know how to do it. But um, then I'll show you how to do it with CSS, and for that one, you don't have to buy anything, so everyone should be able to follow along. But right now, let's just do it like this. So with Photoshop, you have a timeline. You can say window timeline to bring it up, and in the timeline, you can create either a frame animation or video timeline. Both will work for this, but video timeline is just easier, so we'll do video timeline. Easier, and it gives you more control. And, once you do create video timeline, you're gonna get this. You might get this artboard folder, but maybe you don't have an artboard folder. You just have the two layers. I don't know why sometimes I do get, yeah. So you can see here I've got this artboard. I think that's one of the options when you're opening a new file. There's an option to use artboards. Yeah. So right now it was checked, that's why I had that artboard. But if you don't have it checked, then you're just gonna get just the two layers, no artboard. But it doesn't matter, it's just the extra folder. But anyways, once you bring the two pictures in, you can start with the tails or the heads, doesn't matter, whichever one you wanna put on top first. Start with the heads. This timeline shows you how many seconds long the animation is. So you could press play and you can see there's 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. So total of 5 seconds. And also it's looping. I think there's an option to stop it from looping. Loop playback, turn that off, and it'll just go to the end and stop. But of course, this I'm playing it, but nothing is happening because I haven't created the animation yet. So it's going to be a very simple coin flipping around, spinning animation. The way you do that is first you got to make sure that these two are smart objects, and I know they are because of this icon. There's a little icon on the bottom that looks like that. That little icon on the layer, a thumbnail, it tells you that that's a smart object. In case it's not, you can say convert to smart object, but it already is. So, and the reason why you need it to be a smart object is because when something is a smart object in Photoshop, the original image gets preserved. So if you make it smaller and make it bigger again, it's going to look the same. If it wasn't a smart object, if you transformed it, you would lose a lot of pixel information. But like this, as a smart object, it preserves the original image. So we're looking at heads right now. Heads, I'm going to open this little arrow here. And also, if I didn't have a smart object, I wouldn't see this transform here. I would see something else. I think, what would be there if it wasn't a smart object? Let's find out. Just make a regular layer. It's position. So once it's a smart object, position changes to transform. Let me delete that layer again. Okay, so at frame 0, now these are all frames. You could drag this little blue slider here to go forward in the animation and backwards. But starting at the beginning, frame 0, so 0 seconds into the animation, I want to set what's called a keyframe for the transform. So I'll click this little stopwatch, and you can see it drop this little yellow diamond here. It's yellow because it's selected. If you deselect it, it becomes gray. But it drops that diamond there, and that saves the transformation details, the size of this uh, coin or whatever. What kind of coin is this? A dime or something else? So $1. Anyway, so this $1 coin, whatever size it is right now, got saved into this little keyframe. So that's important because at this point of the animation, I want it to look like that, and then maybe 1 second into the animation, I want to do a edit free transform, and then let's change the width from 100 to, let's say, 3%. Also, make sure this is unchecked, because if it's checked, then both the height and the width will change together. So I want to keep the height at 100, but I'm changing the width to about 3%. So it's basically getting squished like that to 3%. And you can see, since I had dropped a keyframe there, anytime I make a transformation, it automatically drops a new keyframe. So it says, at this point, I want the size to be like this, but 1 second in, I want it to be this way. So the width is now 3% instead of 100%. You can see it kind of looks like it's rotating when you do that. So that's basically what we're going to be doing. We're going to transform it and save it like that. But then one frame over, just a single frame over, I'm going to turn on the opacity. Actually, not one frame over, but at that same exact frame where I brought this to just 3% width, I'll drop a opacity keyframe. And right now the opacity is 100, so you can see it. But the next frame over, I'll lower that to 0, so you can't see it anymore. Now let's do the bottom layer. So this one, the same point where this one is 3%, I will also want this one to be 3%. So I'll do a free transform, Change that to 3. Okay, now they're both 3%. They're both thin like that. And I'll drop a keyframe for tails now. So I click on transform and I drop one of these diamonds here to save it at 3%. And then again, the next frame over, I changed the head's opacity to 0, so you can't see it anymore. But we can still see this one. So this is the tails that we're seeing right now. But one more second past that, at 2 seconds, I'm going to say edit free transform and change this thing's width back to 100. Uh-oh, what happened here? 2 seconds in, edit free transform. Okay, 100. So back to 100. So now it looks like the face goes away and then we see the other side. And then basically we do the same thing. We bring this 1 second further into this. We say edit free transform, make this 3 again. So now it's going like that, back to like that. And then now back to the first one, the heads. We're going to drop a keyframe for opacity here to save it at 0. Drop a keyframe for transform. And then the next frame over, I'm going to set opacity to 100 so we can see it again. And then at 4 seconds, say edit free transform and make this 100 again. So now I've got a full spinning animation. And then if I let it loop, first I want to shorten the animation to 4 seconds because that's just how long it is right now. And we'll say loop playback, play, and it'll just keep spinning. Now, if you want it to go faster, you can bring all of these keyframes closer together. So instead of this being at 1 second, we can bring it down to, let's say here. Bring this one here too. Actually, it's better if I just do it together. Instead of one by one, just drag a selection around these. So select that one, shift select these, drag them over, and then select all these, drag them over, and then these, drag those, oops, this one too. Just making the animation shorter. And then there's finally this one at the end. And we can drag this here to shorten the animation. Press play. Now it's faster. So you could even make it faster than that, but I don't think that's necessary. Okay, so then you can save this either as a video or a GIF if you want to animate it. So you can say File, Export, And by the way, is this class supposed to be till 9:30 or 10? Does anyone know? Did you guys get email telling you if this class is till 9:30 or is it till 10? Anyone know? Because I don't want to keep you guys after 9:30 if it's only till 9:30. Nobody knows? Okay. Well, I guess there's not much else here. We're just gonna say file, export. We can do render video. And you could just choose a name for it and select somewhere to save it. Let's just put it on the desktop as coin. I'll leave everything else on the default and say render. Now if I go here to coin.mp4, we have a spinning coin video. I could also set this to loop, I think. How do we make this loop? Depends on what you're playing it on. I'll say repeat on this Windows player and it'll repeat spinning. You can put it on a website and have it spinning. You can also save it as a if you say export, say for web. You can also set this to GIF. You're gonna have fewer colors, but it's a coin, so there's not much color in it anyway, so 256 is plenty for this, I think. Press play, you can see this is what it would look like as an animated GIF. And then we can save it. I'll save it on the desktop as coin.gif. And there it is. So there's the GIF, there's the video. That's gonna be your first assignment for 156. Again, if you don't have Photoshop, don't worry. I'll make you do something else. We'll use CSS to create the same type of animation. But that's if you have Photoshop. If you do both, then I don't know, extra credit, I guess. But if you have Photoshop, I want you to do that. Yeah, I don't know. I think, guys, the class might be till 9:30 because I remember seeing that somewhere. Which is weird. I don't know why I would say 9:30 instead of 10. It's 30-minute difference. It's always been till 10, so. But then again, this class is it's not just 4 weeks, right? It's a little longer. I think like 8 weeks. No. Is it 8 weeks? I think it's 8 weeks. It's till from now till not October, but November 6th. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 6 weeks, I think. So it's a little longer than, yeah. So it's a 6-week class instead of a 4-week class like we normally have. So maybe that's why it's till 9:30. But anyways, maybe tomorrow we'll take a longer break because I made you stay till 9:45 today. Actually check if the sign out code is available on Google Classroom because it's supposed to be released 5 minutes before the end of class, or maybe 15 minutes before the end. So let's check Google Classroom. Sign out 9:29. Yep, it's available. So the code for signing out is 987. Assignment 1 example. No, I won't save it because it's pretty much already all there for you. If you look at the instructions, it's already there. Just copy that and then copy that and copy that. Just put your own stuff between the LIs. The only part that I didn't include here is the little bit of CSS that I added. You're welcome. Again, 987 is the sign out. You're welcome. Alright, good night, everybody. Sign out is 987.